You're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaffe.
And me, Danny Denhard.
And Dan, today we're going to talk about something that's bothering a lot of people at the moment, I think. And that is lots and lots of businesses out there this year have really maxed on their use of AI. And some of that is true and good, and some of it is hype, really. And I think we're both seeing a degree of irritation amongst people where they're seeing these stories of like, oh, we're AI, AI everywhere, everything we do is AI. And it's like, what's the difference between what they're saying and what they're actually doing? Because quite often, as you've talked about in the past, when you lift the hood, they're not actually doing an awful lot. They're kind of very much hyping. So the question today is, if you are a business leader, how do you sensibly talk about how you're using AI without necessarily overhyping what you're doing? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I read a lot of the white papers and case studies that come out, and just anecdotally speaking to friends, and when I run workshops, just seeing the general sort of feedback in the forums that I do and then in the workshops. There's so many customers that just don't care about AI, and actually to a point they dislike it. And there's some surveys that have come out that said they dislike it, and 80% of people do. And I think what that's doing is it's turning a lot of customers off products or companies they used to really like and respect. It's actually getting them to think around, hey, I don't care. I don't want it to be there. And if they didn't tell me, I'd be in a better place because it would just work, or it'd do loads of things. So the example I like to talk through is very often companies have moved into their bubble and they've started to over talk and overuse AI as something that's going to solve a load of problems versus actually answering customer problems and solving them for them, whether it's with AI or actually just being on the product roadmap and delivering features that are going to help their customers solve their issues quicker, buy quicker, move some of the friction. And actually what so many companies have done is just over-indexed on saying it's AI, and because they're marketing to themselves and to the industry versus to the customer. And I just think that happens in a lot of tech shifts, but it's just been so bad with AI. It's actually made working in and with AI even harder to sort of sell and give people the different use cases that they have. That's something that so many people are missing. And I would always say to business leaders, the further away you are from answering customer problems and all the feedback you've got, and you're saying you bulk on technology, unless they see their problem fixed really quickly, you're actually hindering yourselves. You're not progressing at all. And whether you're doing it for more investment, or you're doing it for earnings calls, or you're doing it just because everyone else is doing it, you're probably losing out versus moving forward. Have you seen similar, or how do you feel about it, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think your point at the end is absolutely right. A lot of people, large organizations in particular, need to be seen to be investing heavily in AI because they've got numbers to make every quarter. And in the US, it's Wall Street, and in the UK, it's the stock exchange. It's all over them. What are you doing with it? So they need to be seen to do it. I think it runs back to some things we've talked about historically. I think as we've said, both of us, and we say in workshops, the real innovation comes from the people on the ground who are doing the job. So the people in the boardroom of an enterprise are not the people who should be innovating there. They should be exciting the organization to experiment with AI, but the experiment should be controlled, and they should be at the level of people who are doing the actual job. So I think that the challenge is, who's on the ground doing the job with the customers? What things do we think we can change to the advantage of the customer? And then how are we going to do that? And let's run a proper experiment. I think I'm seeing too much of just people being told, go away and experiment with AI, see what you come up with, which is part of the stance, but then they may be not doing the things that should be done. And I also think we're seeing lots of organizations who have bought this hype because it's everywhere. And so they're saying, right, it sounds like everyone else is really getting on with AI and we've not started yet. And I've had lots and lots of conversations with lots of organizations through the summer and autumn. And I know you have too, which is they sit there and they go, right, we're not really doing anything with it. We want to learn more because everyone else seems to be getting on with it. I don't think they are. I think there's lots of little bits of random activity, but the focus you would bring to a normal discipline of saying, right, business case for it. What are we going to try and change? How are we going to change it? Why? How does this benefit the customer? I'm not sure all that's happening all the time. I think people are doing it because they can, because it's interesting, because it's exciting, and then they're having a hype what they've done. And not everybody, but certainly some organizations, you can see that happening, as you said. So broadly aligned, I think I can see why it's happening. But I think you're right. I think I'm starting to see people now get resistive and say, I don't want to deal with an AI chatbot. I don't want to, it doesn't work properly for me because it's, as you said, not fully thought through.
Yes. The example I like to give is in the app stores, you can always, it kind of tells you the micro trends or gives you a theme for the year with the downloads and apps. So do you want to play a little game, Jonathan?
Go on then. So
what app do you think earned the most money in the iOS app store? So for Apple users, which app do you think finished top?
I'm sorry. If you've been a few years ago, I would have said Candy Crush, but I don't know. What you tell me? Is it one of the AI tools?
So it's TikTok, which obviously has AI integrated, but have come out with the anti-AI slop in their newsfeed. So that's a new angle for it. The second one is YouTube. That obviously has also an AI implication of it. But and number 3 is actually ChatGPT with over 100 million through revenue through the App Store. What about Google Play? I might have hinted at this before we hit record, but what do you think is top in Google Play Store?
One of the LLMs, would it be?
It's Google One, which is their Drive. Everyone, that's something that a lot of people don't realize, and that's way over 100 million. So that's in the revenue they got from it. Then TikTok, then ChatGPT, and that's, way down on revenue wise. So in the combined total, TikTok's number 1 because people are buying a lot of stuff through it. Then it's ChatGPT. So there are a lot of people who are buying things and dating licenses and, signing up to subscriptions through it. So there is a lot of AI, but a lot of the tools in there, a lot of the apps that are in there are, Disney and HBO and Peacock and all these other tools. So a lot of them don't actually touch AI. And I think once we realise that, ChatGPT is in the top store and it's having high amounts of revenue, where all the others in the top 10 aren't necessarily AI. Yeah, there's some features built into it, but a lot of it isn't AI. It kind of gauges you a little bit better for the general public and where they're at and what they're using. And we've seen with the usage, AI really drops at weekends, so it's still very much a work product. I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but I think if we have a takeaway for people is just because you see it and there's a lot of what I call AI peer pressure, just because it's there and it feels like it's quicker, very often it isn't. And I just think if you're not solving customer problems, you're moving further and further away from what you're supposedly doing in business. And AI is a critical part of that. But we have to just remember that our customers don't necessarily care how we solve the problems and how we build features for it. And they don't care about the technology behind it, but they care that you fix their problems and you make their life easier and more convenient versus force another AI feature or force a chatbot down the neck when they don't actually want it. And I think 2026 might be the year where people walk away and realize actually we made a mistake by over-indexing on pushing and marketing AI when we should have been solving more and more problems and marketing problem solves as opposed to AI
outcomes. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it also talks to, we've seen, last 3 or 4 months, we've seen an awful lot more about the human side of this thing. So where is the importance of the human in the loop? So having had a period of time when everyone's saying, no, it's going to take everybody's job and all that stuff. I think you and I for a long time been saying, no, it isn't. There's more opportunity than there is threat. I think we're seeing that now. I think people are now saying that this thing has to work in a human world. Where's the human bit in the AI? What's the right combination of human and AI activity, which is all talking to what you said about this re-indexing back. And I think I think we'll see, as you said, through 26, 27, we'll start to see a rebalancing there. And okay, so where do humans play best? What do humans need? The customers at the end of the day, the humans. How does AI help us automate and improve the tasks we can to help that happen better and quicker? That's got to be the direction we're headed.
Yeah, exactly. And my final thought for people is, if you can break this down into what your customers want and what they need, and then what do they actually want it to be marketed towards them as AI solved it, or actually we just solved your problem and we care about you. They don't necessarily care around what did that. So like you said, I think it should be human and human first. Then it should be human plus AI, so hybrid AI. And then actually what are the tasks and features that AI can just fix, that you don't necessarily have to say it's AI just because there's a lot of AI peer pressure out there.
Exactly that. Good to see you, my friend. And I will see you next time.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for listening today, everyone. If you liked what you heard, please give us a rating and review in any of the podcast players. We have a supporting newsletter, which is aimoment.co.uk, that comes out on Mondays and Fridays with every pod, and we dive a little bit deeper. So please subscribe there. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.